Hey all, how are you? I'm going to do this in parts as I will tend to ramble and go on. I've been getting asked questions about the art and what we do on our page. Now, it is basically catch wrestling, lucha livre, and sambo, and some select thrown in. We really mix up the martial arts. Now, catch, otherwise known as pancration, has been around for 2,000 years. It was the art practiced by the Spartans, and the submissions in catch are called hooks, and hooks are not so much concession holds, they are designed to cripple and maim, but we can turn these into concession holds and have safe sparring, but it is the business, and it's very quick and very brutal, as it's supposed to be, because it's based on a warlike system. Also, in the old days of catch, they had eye gouging and fish hooking, and that was allowed, and it was in the Olympics. Now they've thrown out all the hundreds of years ago, all this sort of stuff, and we now have freestyle Greco-Roman, but that's still a very dominant thing in AA. Still a very dominant thing in MMA. Now, what we're heading towards with the page is not so much sportive, it's more combative, because this world we live in, it is getting frigging dangerous. Now, they say every fight goes to the ground. I've done this for about 20 years, and I've worked the doors for 20 years. In New Zealand, and I can imagine other countries, the last place I want to be is on the ground. The day of the one out, sadly, the noble one out has long since passed. So you get on the ground in New Zealand, you're going to have a ton of boots coming at your head. So it's it's not a place I want to be, but catch for MMA has an amazing ground game. It's based on really heavy riding and making the person uncomfortable at all times. Now, I'll just touch on lucha livre. I was awarded a black belt this year by Master Babel Zambuesa of Argentina, and his lucha livre lineage goes back to Hugo Duarte and basically the royalty of lucha livre. Now, lucha livre is basically catch with very good kickboxing, very good Muay Thai, and it was taught to Brazilians and in the favelas, because these people weren't as affluent as the Gracies, and they couldn't afford gears and this sort of thing. And then a big rivalry broke out between the lucha livre and BJJ guys, and it's much of a muchness, and there's a lot of history there. So also Sambo, you'll notice that all these systems we're going into, they're based on war. Sambo was a martial art that was made for war, and it concentrated on leg locks. And their theory was being that if you take out one person, and this is the day where people had a bit of dignity and loyalty, if you broke their leg, it'd take three people out of the fray, because it'd take two comrades to carry the injured man out. Okay, so there you've got three things. I won't get into Select today, but it's another thing based on war. And you've seen the Sambo guys come into the UFC, and they are just killing machines. I'm talking Fedor, Khabib, Islam Makhachev, and so they have brilliant strikes as well. As I said, we don't have a lot of striking put up on the page because even though I boxed for years, I wasn't fantastic at it, and so we've got guys who are a lot better than me to teach that sort of thing. But as I say, in the sort of boxing, the sort of striking we will teach is dirty boxing, because when you're out there in a situation, you haven't got a ring to cut off. You have basically it's like a hockey fight. You're going to grab something with the clothing. We prefer to nape the neck, because you control the head, you control the body, and that's a big thing with us. head control. So think of a extremely technical hockey fight or a very shitty boxing fight. And so we use elbows and this sort of thing. Now, I've talked for longer than I was going to, so I'll cut that off there. And I have to acknowledge my first black belt was from the godfather of MMA, Mr. Christopher Easley. He was New Zealand's first heavyweight cage fighting champion. He was also a world jiu-jitsu champion, and he brought pankration to New Zealand. And we were having a talk the other day about, what could be, because it's a very effective method of, be it somewhat brutal, of fighting. And I asked him, I said, Coach, why didn't this take off? And he goes, well, number one, it takes a certain sort of person because it is hard. It hurts to do this. And then BJJ, which does work, as I said, and it's fantastic, was really coming into vogue when he brought this in. So it sort of went by the wayside, and then it nearly became extinct, hence the lost art of hooking. Okay, I'll stop this here because I'm getting sick of my own voice, so peace out, and until the next one.